James Francis Cameron, born August 16, 1954, is a Canadian filmmaker and deep-sea explorer. A major figure in the post-New Hollywood era, his films combine cutting-edge film technology with classical filmmaking techniques and have grossed over $8 billion worldwide, making him the second highest-grossing film director of all time. Cameron has received numerous accolades, including 3 Academy Awards, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, and 4 Golden Globe Awards, as well as nominations for 6 British Academy Film Awards. Born and raised in Ontario, Cameron moved to California aged 17 and enrolled at Fullerton College. Beginning his career with the short film Xenogenesis, 1978, he first gained recognition for writing and directing the science fiction action film The Terminator, 1984. He had further success with Aliens, 1986, The Abyss, 1989, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991, and True Lies, 1994, as well as the Avatar franchise, 2009 present. He directed, wrote, co-produced, and co-edited the historical romance epic Titanic, 1997, winning Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. 3 of Cameron's films, Avatar 2009, Avatar, The Way of Water 2022, and the aforementioned Titanic, are amongst the top 4 highest-grossing films of all time, with Avatar in the top spot until it was surpassed by Avengers Endgame 2019. Before returning to first place in 2021-2, he directed the first film to gross over $1 billion, the first 2 films to gross over $2 billion each, and is the only director to have had 3 films gross over $2 billion each. 3-4. The Terminator, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Titanic have been selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. Cameron also co-founded the production companies Lightstorm Entertainment, Digital Domain, and Earthship Productions. In 2010, Time named Cameron one of the 100 most influential people in the world. In addition to filmmaking, he is a National Geographic Explorer in residence and has produced many documentaries on deep ocean exploration, including Ghosts of the Abyss, 2003, and Aliens of the Deep, 2005. Cameron has also contributed to underwater filming and remote vehicle technologies and helped create the new digital 3D fusion camera system. In 2012, he became the first person to complete a solo descent to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of Earth's ocean, in the Deep-Sea Challenger submersible. He is also an environmentalist and runs several sustainability businesses. Early life and education. James Francis Cameron V was born on August 16, 1954, in Kapuskasing, Ontario, to Philip Cameron, an electrical engineer, and Shirley, née Lowe, an artist and nurse. 6. He is the first of 5 children, with 2 brothers and 2 sisters. 6. His paternal great-great-great-grandfather emigrated from Balquhidder, Scotland. In 1825. 6. Cameron spent summers on his grandfather's farm in southern Ontario. 7. He attended Stamford Collegiate in Niagara Falls. At age 17, Cameron and his family moved from Chippewa to Brea, California. 8. He attended Sonora High School and then moved to Brea Olinda High School. Classmates recalled that he was not a sportsman, but instead enjoyed building things that either went up into the air or into the deep. 9. After high school, Cameron enrolled at Fullerton College, a community college, in 1973 to study physics. He switched subjects to English, but left the college at the end of 1974. 10. Cameron worked odd jobs, including as a truck driver and a high school janitor. He drank beer, frequently consumed cannabis and LSD, and wrote in his free time. 11-12. During this period, he learned about special effects by reading other students' work on optical printing or front screen projection or dye transfers, anything that related to film technology, at the University of Southern California Library. 13. After the excitement of seeing Star Wars in 1977, Cameron quit his job as a truck driver to enter the film industry. 14. Career. 1978-1989. Career beginnings and rise to prominence. Cameron, in September 1986. Cameron, September 1986. Cameron's directing career began in 1978. After borrowing money from a consortium of dentists, he learned to direct, write and produce his first short film, Xenogenesis, 1978, with a friend. 16 learning as he went, Cameron said he felt like a doctor doing his first surgical procedure. 13, he then served as a production assistant for Rock and Roll High School, 1979. While educating himself about filmmaking techniques, Cameron started a job as a miniature model maker at Roger Corman Studios. 17, he was soon employed as an art director for the science fiction film Battle Beyond the Stars, 1980. He carried out the special effects for John Carpenter's Escape from New York, 1981, served as production designer for Galaxy of Terror, 1981, and consulted on the design for Android, 1982. Cameron was hired as the visual effects director for the sequel to Piranha, 1978, titled Piranha II: The Spawning in 1982. The original director, Miller Drake, left the project due to creative differences with producer Ovidio Assanitis. Shot in Rome, Italy, and on Grand Cayman Island, the film gave Cameron the opportunity to become director for a major film for the first time. Cameron later said that it did not feel like his first film due to power struggles with Assanitis. 18. Upon release of Piranha II: The Spawning, critics were not impressed. Author Tim Healy called it a marvelously bad movie which splices cliches from every conceivable source. 19. In 1982, inspired by John Carpenter's horror film Halloween, 1978, 20, as well as a nightmare about an invincible robot hitman sent from the future to assassinate him, 21, Cameron wrote the script for The Terminator, 1984, a sci-fi action film about a cyborg sent from the future to carry out a lethal mission. Cameron wanted to sell the script so that he could direct the film. While some film studios expressed interest in the project, many executives were unwilling to let a new and unfamiliar director make the film. Gail Ann Hurd, a colleague and founder of Pacific Western Productions, agreed to buy Cameron's script for $1, on the condition that Cameron direct the film. He convinced the president of Hemdale Pictures to make the film, with Cameron as director and Hurd as a producer. Lance Henriksen, who starred in Piranha II: The Spawning, was considered for the lead role, but Cameron decided that Arnold Schwarzenegger was more suitable as the cyborg villain due to his bodybuilder appearance. 22, Henriksen was given a smaller role instead. Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton also joined the cast. The Terminator was a box office success, exceeding expectations set by Orion Pictures, 22, and earning over $78 million worldwide. 23, George Perry of the BBC praised Cameron's direction, writing, "Cameron laces the action with ironic jokes, but never lets up on hinting that the terror may strike at any moment." 24, in 2008, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. 25. In 1984, Cameron was hired to write a sequel to First Blood. It was rewritten by Sylvester Stallone and released as Rambo: First Blood Part Roman II. 26-27, Cameron was then hired to write and direct a sequel to Alien, 1979, a science fiction horror film directed by Ridley Scott. Like the original, the sequel Aliens, 1986, featured Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. Aliens follows Ripley as she helps a group of Marines fight off extraterrestrials. Despite conflicts with cast and crew during production and having to replace one of the lead actors, James Remar, with Michael Biehn, Aliens was a box office success, generating over $130 million worldwide. 28, the film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards in 1987: Best Actress, Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, and Best Sound. It won awards for Best Sound Editing and Best Visual Effects. 29. In addition, Weaver and the film made the cover of Time in July 1986. 30. Cameron with Gail Ann Hurd, 1986. Cameron with Gail Ann Hurd, 1986. After Aliens, Cameron and Gail Ann Hurd decided to make The Abyss, a story about oil rig workers who discover strange, intelligent life in the ocean. Based on an idea which Cameron had conceived of during high school, the film was initially budgeted at $41 million, although it ran considerably over this amount. It starred Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and Michael Biehn. The production process began in the Cayman Islands and in South Carolina in two huge water tanks, reclaimed from an unfinished nuclear power plant. 31. The cast and crew recall Cameron's dictatorial behavior and the filming of water scenes which were mentally and physically exhausting. 32. Upon the film's release, The Abyss was praised for its special effects and earned $90 million at the worldwide box office. 33. The Abyss received 4 Academy Award nominations and won Best Visual Effects. 34. 1999, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies, and Titanic. In 1990, Cameron co-founded the firm Lightstorm Entertainment with collaborator Lawrence Kasanoff. In 1991, Cameron served as executive producer for Point Break, 1991, directed by Catherine Bigelow. After the success of The Terminator, there were discussions for a sequel, and by the late 1980s, Mario Casar of Carolco Pictures secured the rights to the sequel, allowing Cameron to begin production of the film Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991. Written by Cameron and William Wisher Jr., Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton reprised their roles. The story follows on from Terminator, depicting a new villain, T-1000, with shape-shifting abilities who hunts for Sarah Connor's son, John Edward Furlong. Cameron cast Robert Patrick as T-1000 because of his lean and thin appearance, a sharp contrast to Schwarzenegger. Cameron explained, "I wanted someone who was extremely fast and agile. If the T-800 is a human Panzer tank, then the T-1000 is a Porsche." 35. Terminator 2 was one of the most expensive films to be produced, costing at least $94 million. 36. $217 million in 2024-37. Despite the challenging use of computer-generated imagery, CGI, the film was completed on time and released on July 3, 1991. Terminator 2 broke box office records, including the opening weekend record for an R-rated film, earning over $200 million in North America and being the first to earn over $300 million worldwide. 38. Respectively, over $462 million and $693 million in 2024-37. It won 4 Academy Awards: Best Makeup, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound Editing, and Best Visual Effects. It also received nominations for Best Cinematography and Best Film Editing. 39. In subsequent years, Cameron planned to do a third Terminator film, but plans never materialized. The rights to the Terminator franchise were eventually purchased by Casar from a bankruptcy sale of Carolco's assets. 40. Cameron moved on to other projects and in 1993 co-founded Digital Domain, a visual effects production company. In 1994, Cameron and Schwarzenegger reunited for their third collaboration, True Lies, a remake of the 1991 French comedy La Totale. The story depicts an American secret agent who leads a double life as a married man, whose wife believes he is a computer salesman. The film co-stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Eliza Dushku, and Tom Arnold. Cameron's Lightstorm Entertainment signed a deal with 20th Century Fox for the production of True Lies. Budgeted at a minimum of $100 million, the film earned $146 million in the United States and Canada. 41-42. The film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and Curtis won a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress. 43-44. It was during the production of True Lies that he would first meet John Landor, who at the time oversaw the film's production for Fox. 45. In July 2024, Cameron stated that he lured Landor away from Fox to Lightstorm. 45. In 1995, Cameron co-produced Strange Days, a science fiction thriller. Directed by Catherine Bigelow and co-written by Jay Cox, Strange Days was critically and financially unsuccessful. 46. In 1996, Cameron reunited with the cast of Terminator 2 to film T2 3D, Battle Across Time, an attraction at Universal Studios Florida and in other parks around the world. 47. His next major project was Titanic, 1997, an epic about the RMS Titanic, which sank in 1912 after hitting an iceberg. With a production budget of $200 million, at the time, it was the most expensive film ever made. Starting in 1995, Cameron took several dives to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to capture footage of the wreck, which would later be used in the film. 48. A replica of the ship was built in Rosarito Beach, and principal photography began in September 1996. Titanic made headlines before its release for being over budget and exceeding its schedule. 4950. In a radical departure from Cameron's previous work, his completed screenplay depicts two star-crossed lovers, portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, from different social classes who fall in love amid the backdrop of the ship's tragedy. The supporting cast includes Billy Zane, Kathy Bates, Frances Fisher, Gloria Stewart, Bernard Hill, Jonathan Hyde, Victor Garber, Danny Nucci, David Warner, and Bill Paxton. The film was also Cameron's first large-scale production with Landor as a co-producer. 45. Cameron promoting Avatar during the 2009 San Diego Comic-Con. Cameron promoting Avatar at San Diego Comic-Con, 2009. After months of delay, Titanic premiered on December 19, 1997. The film received strong critical acclaim and became the highest-grossing film of all time, holding this position for 12 years, until Cameron's Avatar beat the record in 2010. 51, 52, 53, the costumes and sets were praised. And the Washington Post considered the CGI graphics to be spectacular. 54, 55, Titanic received a record-tying 14 nominations, tied with All About Eve in 1950 at the 1998 Academy Awards. It won 11 of the awards, tying the record for most wins with 1959's Ben-Hur, now also tied with 2003's The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, Best Film Editing, Best Costume Design, Best Sound Mixing, Best Sound Editing, Best Original Score and Best Original Song. 56. Upon receiving Best Picture, Cameron and producer John Landor asked for a moment of silence to remember the 1,500 people who died when the ship sank. 57. Film critic Roger Ebert praised Cameron's storytelling, writing, "It is flawlessly crafted, intelligently constructed, strongly acted, and spellbinding." 58. Authors Kevin Sandler and Galen Studler wrote in 1999 that the romance, historical nostalgia, and James Horner's music contributed to the film's cultural phenomenon. 59. In 2017, on its 20th anniversary, Titanic became Cameron's second film to be selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry. 60. After the huge success of Titanic, Cameron kept a low profile. In 1998, he and his brother John formed Earthship Productions to stream documentaries about the deep sea, one of Cameron's interests. 61-62, again during 1998, Cameron considered doing a large-scale technological religious film by an unknown writer, but after 3 tries was forced to personally pass on the project due to his secular nature. Cameron had also planned to make a film about Spider-Man, a project developed by Menahem Golan of Cannon Films. Columbia hired David Cope to adapt Cameron's ideas into a screenplay, but due to various disagreements, Cameron abandoned the project. 64. In 2002, Spider-Man was released with the screenplay credited solely to Cope. 65. 2000-2009, television debut, documentaries, and Avatar. In 2000, Cameron made his debut in television, and with Charles H. Egley co-created Dark Angel, a television series influenced by cyberpunk, biopunk, contemporary superheroes, and third-wave feminism. Dark Angel starred Jessica Alba as Max Guevara, a genetically enhanced super soldier created by a secretive organization. While the first season was moderately successful, the second season did less well, which led to its cancellation. 66. In 2002, Cameron served as producer on the 2002 film Solaris, a science fiction drama directed by Steven Soderbergh. The film gained mixed reviews and failed at the box office. 67-68, keen to make documentaries, Cameron directed Expedition, Bismarck, about the German battleship Bismarck. In 2003, he directed Ghosts of the Abyss, a documentary about RMS Titanic, which was released by Walt Disney Pictures and Walden Media and designed for 3D theaters. Cameron told The Guardian his intention for filming everything in 3D. 69. In 2005, Cameron co-directed Aliens of the Deep, a documentary about the various forms of life in the ocean. He also starred in Titanic Adventure with Tony Robinson, another documentary about the Titanic shipwreck. In 2006, Cameron co-created and narrated The Exodus Decoded, a documentary exploring the biblical account of the Exodus. In 2007, Cameron and fellow director Simca Jakubowski produced The Lost Tomb of Jesus. It was broadcast on Discovery Channel on March 4, 2007. The documentary was controversial for arguing that the Talpiot tomb was the burial place of Jesus of Nazareth, 7071. Cameron speaking at a TED Talk in February 2010. Cameron speaking at a TED Talk, February 2010. By the mid-2000s, Cameron returned to directing and producing his first mainstream film since Titanic. Cameron had displayed interest in making Avatar 2009 and Alita, Battle Angel 2019 as early as June 2005, with both films to be shot using 3D technology. 72, he wanted to make Alita, Battle Angel first, followed by Avatar, but switched the order in February 2006. Although Cameron had written an 80-page treatment for Avatar in 1995, Cameron stated that he wanted the necessary technology to improve before starting production. 73-74, Avatar, with the storyline set in the mid-22nd century, had an estimated budget in excess of $300 million. The cast includes Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Michelle Rodriguez, and Sigourney Weaver. It was composed with a mix of live-action footage and computer-generated animation, using an advanced version of the motion capture technique, previously used by director Robert Zemeckis in The Polar Express. 75. Cameron intended Avatar to be 3D only, but decided to adapt it for conventional viewing as well. 76. Intended for release in May 2009, Avatar premiered on December 18, 2009. This delay allowed more time for post-production and the opportunity for theaters to install 3D projectors. 77. Avatar broke several box office records during its initial theatrical run. It grossed $749.7 million in the United States and Canada and more than $2.74 billion worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing film of all time in the United States and Canada, surpassing Titanic. 78. It was the first film to earn more than $2 billion worldwide. Avatar was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, and won 3: Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Visual Effects. 79. In July 2010, an extended theatrical re-release generated an additional $33.2 million worldwide, equivalent to $46,480,000 in 2024 at the box office. In his mixed review, Sukhdev Sandhu of The Telegraph complimented the 3D, but opined that Cameron should have been more brutal in his editing. 80. That year, Vanity Fair reported that Cameron's earnings were $257 million, making him the highest earner in Hollywood. 81. As of 2022. Avatar and Titanic hold the achievement for being the first 2 of the 6 films in history to gross over $2 billion worldwide. 82. As with Titanic, Landor would greatly assist Cameron as the co-producer of the Avatar films as well. 45. 2010 present. Cameron in October 2012. In 2011, Cameron served as an executive producer for Sanctum, a disaster survival film about a cave diving expedition which turns deadly. Although receiving mixed reviews, the film earned a fair $108 million at the worldwide box office. 83. Cameron reinvestigated the sinking of RMS Titanic with 8 experts in a 2012 TV documentary special, Titanic. The Final Word with James Cameron, which premiered on April 8 on the National Geographic Channel. 84. In the feature, The experts revised the CGI animation of the sinking conceived in 1995, 85-86. In March 2010, Cameron announced that Titanic will be converted and re-released in 3D to commemorate the centennial anniversary of the tragedy, 87, on March 27, 2012. Titanic 3D premiered at London's Royal Albert Hall, 88. He also served as executive producer of Cirque du Soleil, Worlds Away and Deep Sea Challenge 3D in 2012 and 2014, respectively, 89-90. Cameron starred in the 2017 documentary Atlantis Rising with collaborator Simca Jakubowski. The pair goes on an adventure to explore the existence of the city of Atlantis. The program aired on January 29 on National Geographic. 91. Next, Cameron produced and appeared in a documentary about the history of science fiction. James Cameron's Story of Science Fiction. The 6-episodic series was broadcast on AMC in 2018. 92. The series featured interviews with guests including Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Christopher Nolan. 93. He stated without Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, there wouldn't have been Ray Bradbury or Robert A. Heinlein, and without them, there wouldn't be George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Ridley Scott, or me. 94. Alita: Battle Angel was finally released in 2019 after being in parallel development with Avatar. Written by Cameron and friend John Landor, the film was directed by Robert Rodriguez and produced by Cameron. 95. The film is based on a 1990s Japanese manga series, Battle Angel Alita, depicting a cyborg who cannot remember anything of her past life and tries to uncover the truth. Produced with similar techniques and technology as in Avatar, the film starred Rosa Salazar, Christoph Waltz, Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali, Ed Skrein, Jackie Earle Haley, and Kian Johnson. The film premiered on January 31, 2019, to generally positive reviews and $404 million, equivalent to $487,500,000 in 2024, at the worldwide box office, 96. In her review, Monica Castillo of Roger Ebert.com called it an awe-inspiring jump for Rodriguez and a visual bonanza. Despite the bulky script, 97, Cameron then returned to the Terminator franchise as producer and writer for Tim Miller's Terminator, Dark Fate, 2019-98. Cameron at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con. In August 2013, Cameron announced plans to direct 3 sequels to Avatar simultaneously, for release in December 2016, 2017, and 2018. 99, however, the release dates were adjusted due to Cameron's other priorities, with Avatar 3, 4, and 5 to be released, respectively, on December 20, 2024, December 18, 2026, and December 22. 2028. 100 Deadline Hollywood estimated that the budget for these would be over $1 billion. 101. Avatar 2, later given the subtitle The Way of Water, and Avatar 3, later given the subtitle Fire and Ash, began simultaneous production in Manhattan Beach, California on August 15, 2017. Principal photography began in New Zealand on September 25, 2017. 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107 parts of Avatar 4 were also filmed during this time. 108. Cameron stated in a 2017 interview, "Let's face it, if Avatar 2 and 3 don't make enough money, there's not going to be a 4 and 5. 109. Avatar. The Way of Water had its world premiere in London on December 6, 2022. 110. It became the highest-grossing film released in 2022, and as of 2023, stood as the 3rd highest-grossing film of all time, behind only Avatar and Avengers Endgame, and just ahead of Titanic. 111. 112. Lightstorm Entertainment bought the film rights to the Taylor Stevens novel The Informationist, a thriller set in Africa with Cameron planning to direct. 113. In 2010, he indicated he would adapt the Charles R. Pellegrino book, The Last Train from Hiroshima, which is about the survivors of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Cameron met with survivor Tsutomu Yamaguchi before his death in 2010. 114. In 2024, Deadline Hollywood confirmed that Cameron had purchased the rights of not only The Last Train from Hiroshima, but also of Pellegrino's forthcoming Ghosts of Hiroshima, to make an uncompromising theatrical epic motion picture titled Last Train from Hiroshima about a Japanese man who survives Hiroshima's bombing at the height of World War II, only to then take a train to Nagasaki's bombing, which he will shoot as soon as the Avatar sequel's production permits. Feeling that he and Pellegrino owe Yamaguchi for handing the baton of his personal story to them so they could pass his unique and harrowing experience to future generations, Cameron was assisted by the Avatar sequel's co-writer Shane Salerno and Pellegrino, who previously served as Cameron's science consultant on Titanic and Avatar 115. In 2025, Cameron announced that Lightstorm Entertainment had acquired the rights to Joe Abercrombie's novel The Devils, and that he would begin working on a screenplay for a film based on the novel after completion of Avatar, Fire and Ash 116. In November 2025, Cameron directed Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour Live in 3D, a concert film documenting Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft. The tour 117. In June 2010, Cameron met with officials of the Environmental Protection Agency to discuss possible solutions to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. It was reported that he offered his assistance to help stop the oil well from leaking. 118-119, he is a member of the NASA Advisory Council, and he worked with the space agency to build cameras for the Curiosity rover sent for Mars. 120, NASA launched the rover without Cameron's technology due to a lack of time during testing. 121, he has expressed interest in a project about Mars static. I've been very interested in the Humans to Mars movement, and I've done a tremendous amount of personal research for a novel, a miniseries, and a 3D film. 122, Cameron is a member of the Mars Society, a non-profit organization lobbying for the colonization of Mars. 123-124, Cameron endorsed Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton for the 2016 United States presidential election. 125. Deep-sea exploration. Cameron has experience with deep-sea exploration, in part because of his work on The Abyss, Titanic, and Avatar, The Way of Water 118, and his childhood fascination with shipwrecks. He has contributed to advancements in underwater filming and remotely operated vehicles, and helped develop the 3D fusion camera system. 126, 127, 128 in 2011. Cameron became a National Geographic Explorer in Residence. 129. In this role, on March 7, 2012, he dived 5 miles deep to the bottom of the New Britain Trench with the Deep-Sea Challenger. 130. 19 days later, Cameron reached the Challenger Deep, the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. 131, 132, 133. He spent more than 3 hours exploring the ocean floor, becoming the first to accomplish the trip alone. 131, 134. During his dive to the Challenger Deep, he discovered new species of sea cucumber, squid worm, and a giant single-celled amoeba. 135. He was preceded by unmanned dives in 1995 and 2009, as well as by Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, the first men to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trench aboard the bathyscaphe Trieste in 1960. 136. In the aftermath of the Titan submersible implosion, Cameron said he was struck by the similarity between the submersible's implosion and the events that resulted in the Titanic disaster. He noted that both disasters seemed preventable and were caused indirectly by someone deliberately ignoring safety warnings from others. 137. Cameron criticized the company OceanGate and its late CEO Stockton Rush for their choice of carbon fiber composite construction of the pressure vessel, saying it has no strength in compression when subject to the immense pressures at depth. 138. Cameron said that pressure hulls should be made out of contiguous materials such as steel, titanium, ceramic, or acrylic, and that the wound carbon fiber of Titan's hull had seemed like a bad idea to him from the beginning. 139. he stated that it was long known that composite hulls were vulnerable to microscopic water ingress, delamination, and progressive failure over time. 139, he also criticized Russia's real-time monitoring of the hull as an inadequate solution that would do little to prevent an implosion. 138. Cameron expressed regret for not being more outspoken about these concerns before the accident. 139, and criticized what he termed false hopes being presented to the victims' families. He and his colleagues realized early on that for communication and tracking, the latter housed in a separate pressure vessel with its own battery to be lost simultaneously